friends, today we are going to be building a modern penthouse in the world of San Myshuno, so let's hop into it. This penthouse is actually going to be for my Not So Berry challenge, and we're building this specifically for the Rose generation, but if you are not looking for a Not So Berry build, I still think you can use this one just fine. It is a little heavy on a red color scheme, but it's not so aggressive that I think it screams Not So Berry. You can obviously be the judge of that, but I use a lot of black and brown accents as well as that red pop. This house ends up being a 3-bedroom, a 3-bathroom penthouse, and it has a lot of extra room. It also has a massive office space, so you could have a pretty large family live here if you wanted to. You may just need to convert some spaces around, but since I am building this for my Let's Play, we are on a bit of a budget. I gave myself 130,000 simoleons, I believe. So that's what we have to build this with. And you can tell it's like an ultra modern kind of shape just from what you're seeing so far. And I don't personally fancy myself to be like a crazy good modern builder, but I did find a little inspiration photo on Pinterest. So I will plop that on the screen now, so you can kind of see what I'm going for. This picture is not fully replicable in The Sims, unfortunately. Like, we just don't have the right stuff. But I think in the end, it ends up pretty close. I think you can at least tell what I was going for and what the vibes were. I do really like to challenge myself in builds and try to use different styles and whatnot, especially on the exteriors, because I think it can be really easy to gravitate towards the same kind of exterior style over and over again. So I'm kind of trying to combat that. And I feel like the only thing that fit well on the top of this penthouse without trying to like match the exterior of a building was a really modern penthouse. The one that's originally here, you can tell it's meant to lean modern. It kind of misses the mark because it's a Sims build, unfortunately, but I really actually love the way that this one ends up looking. It just takes me a minute to get there. So when I say I think I'm not good at building modern houses, I think I just mean that it takes me longer to figure out the modern house build, where like a suburban house, I can kind of throw it together pretty quickly. Let me know how you feel about that. And if you build in The Sims, are you the same way? Do you gravitate towards one style more than the other? I definitely personally gravitate towards like a craftsman suburban style house. That's my preferred way to build, but that's also what I know. Like, a lot of the houses in my area are more of the suburban style, or even really kind of the same style as the ones in Willow Creek, that shotgun style. We have a lot of those in our area. So I think what you see is just like what you kind of naturally gravitate towards, but let me know in the comments if that's true for you too. But I think for the most part, we've got the exterior figured out. I realized there was a clipping issue in the back, so I had to scoot it all in one, which turns out to be a good thing because it ends up being like just a little too big. For whatever reason, I just overshoot the size of things a lot of the time, but a lot of the rooms end up being big, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that very much fits the style of this build. It would be odd to have like this big modern building and to have teeny tiny bedrooms on the inside. So we do end up with some larger than usual bedrooms, but once again, I think it fits the vibes. I'm going to have to ask you at this point to please trust the process, because you're gonna see some debatably ugly furniture get placed down. That is not permanent furniture. That's not what we're leaving. That's just kind of what I do to space things out. I think if you're new to building, that's actually a really good tip, is to place down filler furniture, and that's gonna help you size things out better. Even you can see upstairs, I just added in a bed, and the only purpose of that bed is to make sure that the bedrooms weren't too crazy unreasonably big. I don't mind a big bedroom, but like if the bed is only taking up like just the teeniest amount of space, like it's way too large. Primrose does end up with like what I think is too big of a bedroom, but it is the primary suite. So I figure if any of the bedrooms were going to be like way too big, it should be hers. Now we're working on the downstairs floor plan. The floor plan actually came together really easily, which was kind of a miracle. I thought it was going to be so hard to figure out. I do end up using a lot of stuff from the New Businesses and Hobbies expansion pack. I love the style of it, but it's also new, so it's fun to try to build with. But this is not a pack exclusive build by any means, unfortunately. When I build for myself, I usually go pretty crazy with it, but I loved the New Businesses and Hobbies windows for this particular build, especially adding them together to kind of make like cool custom type windows. So now we're getting all those windows placed since we've got our floor plan together. And in just a second, you're gonna start seeing me place down some like really bright red counters and things like that, but they do not stay. The counters end up being brown. I don't love the color red, so it was kind of hard for me to fully commit to like an all red build. I just couldn't do it. I wanted touches of red. Like we end up with a red tile, we end up with red couches. You can tell it's a not so berry build, but I think if you downloaded this for not the not so berry challenge, you would still find that it didn't like feel crazy not so berry. So once again, don't stress about those count bits. I know they're really red. I tried to do it. I tried to commit to the red bit and I was like, no, I'm out. And on that note, I'm out. We also have the living room faced this way. I could not stand the TV being off center though. And I didn't want to put it in front of the massive windows because those are going to be like the huge windows overlooking the yard. So eventually that'll all shift around. We'll get there in a little while. I kind of jump around a lot in this build because if I couldn't quite figure out an area, I would just leave and come back to it. And I feel like that helps me a lot building wise, just to sit with things and ideas for a minute. And now you can see the countertops are getting the boot. We do end up using these, which are the new base game ones. I am obsessed with these countertops. I think these are the best countertops in the whole game now. Pack, no pack, I think these are the best counters. And I, for some reason, really wanted a gold accent. So they were perfect for this. Also, you'll see that we have red tile on the front and back, and that does eventually change where the back tile is not red tile anymore. I made my husband come look at it because something about the build was just not feeling quite right. So I think I'll cut it out, but at some point I'll give him a little tour of the build and that will just kind of change. So second opinions also always help a little bit too. It's so funny too because he's never really played The Sims. He's played The Sims a couple of times with me on stream, and he actually built a house once. It's on my gallery if you ever want to look it up. It's not the worst build you've ever seen, but it's not that great. But I think he thinks he has an eye for design, so he always likes to give me little critiques here and there, but it's well appreciated because I feel like anytime you can roll ideas off of people, you end up with a better product. But now we're trying to kind of solidify where everything is going. We are doing the Desert Luxe curtains. If you followed me for any amount of time, you probably know that I really, really love the Desert Luxe curtains. They are by far my favorite curtains in the game. And I hope very much that you maybe got that pack when it was free for a little while, because I actually think it's a really good kit for those curtains alone. I mean, they do have other good stuff in there, but I love the way that it looks like a seamless piece. You can make it look like really fancy curtains that wrap all the way around. And there are tricks to do that with base game curtains and like the little base game shelf, but the Desert Luxe ones just snap into place and it's so easy and it's so nice. And I actually get to use a little bit of the refined living room kit, which I feel like got really overshadowed when it first came out. I feel like it launched right around all of the 25th anniversary hype, and I think I maybe built one time with it, but I actually think it's such a good kit, and I feel like it really fit the vibes of this apartment in particular. It's like fancy and modern, but still cozy vibes, which I absolutely love and feels really Primrose to me. And if you didn't know, Primrose is my air sim. I know I've mentioned her a couple of times. So living in this house, I'm actually gonna have Primrose, who is the Rose gen, Minty, who is our first sim and our mint gen, and Primrose's daughter Marigold, who is the start of our yellow gen. So this is a 3-generation house, and the bedrooms upstairs will all be decorated in a different color. But now you can see what I was talking about with the living room. So I ended up drawing a wall in the middle, which I actually thought was kind of a cool feature wall. So on the side facing the living room is a TV, and it'll end up being a different like TV stand. And then on the other side, we're gonna get a cool light feature and a bar. I think it turned out so cool. I feel like this really adds like an air of fanciness to the build, and it helps separate the spaces a little bit better. So it's not a full open concept, but I don't really mind that. I know a lot of people love an open concept, but I do think it's nice to have closed off spaces sometimes too, because if this were all like connected, I think it would feel like too much red. And I think even that wall, as small as it is, the slight separation makes the red feel a little less aggressive. I think it just added me in more room to add that like wood paneling that we were using and some other furniture decorations. And now we are working on, oh, now I'm changing out for the bar actually, which I had mentioned is what we got. It took me a minute to pick the bar. I ended up making a decision to use the Party Essentials one. The Party Essentials kit gets a lot of deserved hate, but the bar in that kit is actually really, really good. And I like how plain it is. I also want to give a little shout out to Twisted Mexi. I don't know if you've seen it pop on the screen a couple of times, but I use a lot of the T.O.O.L mod in this, and it is a mod, but if you don't have mods, you don't need it. It just allows me to resize stuff a little bit better. It does a lot of really, really cool stuff, but the resizing is what I mainly use it for. But I just want to shout them out because I don't know if this build would be what it is without the mod. Both the T.O.O.L mod and the Better BuildBuy mod, if you're able to get mods and you build, I cannot recommend them enough. But I know that they had to work so hard to get all of those updated with all of the new features and updates that we've gotten so recently with the 25th anniversary and the new expansion pack. But now we are working on cluttering our kitchen. I did want this kitchen to feel a little bit more cluttered because it is a family home. We're gonna have a lot of Sims living here. And while it is like a fancy modern build, it is still a build that my family is actively playing in. So we are adding in all kinds of fun clutter now, getting some recipe books on top of the microwave. I got him a pressure cooker. I thought maybe that might be fun to try. I don't use the pressure cooker very often, but something I didn't add in that we will definitely be adding in is the family recipe book that came with the new Businesses and Hobbies expansion pack. I think it's called Grammy's Recipes, if I'm not mistaken. But if you watch my Not So Berry challenge, the episode that posted before the speed build, we'll actually talk about it there. I'm filming them kind of out of order, so I filmed that episode, but I've not edited it yet at this point. But they will come out episode and then Penthouse in that order. So in that episode, we talk about the new family recipe book, and I decided, and I think it's so fun, that every generation will pass down one family recipe, and preferably with different attributes. So you can add like different things. You can add like fertility, moodlet, academic, like there's so many that you can have your Sims do something, and then they're able to now make a family recipe that gives your Sims certain buffs or moodlets. And I think that's such a cute idea for legacy challenges. I love the idea that by the end of the generations, we'll have like 10 unique family recipes with 10 unique different kinds of buffs and skills. So I'm actually really excited to incorporate that. But now we're in the office. I did get one of the new shelves from the Cozy Gamer kit, and I used the Dream Home decorators on the bottom row and just kind of cluttered the top a little bit. And I did do the tour for my husband now, so you may notice the tile backsplash in the kitchen is a little bit different now if you happen to see that. I know everything's moving around super fast, so we will do a full tour at the end, and I'll show you everything and anything that maybe I swapped or changed out. I want to say that was the only thing that I really changed though, like off camera. So now I'm hopping around a little bit because I'm having some trouble. I tried to finish the entryway like 3 times and then like keep going back to it. So I'm so sorry. I like came back and put shoes, and then I was like, oh wait, I need a rug. I was like, oh wait, I need a piece of art. But now we are finally on our way upstairs, and we are starting with Primrose's bedroom. Primrose has by far the biggest bedroom, and I was kind of having trouble with lighting a little bit because in the daytime with her having those massive windows, so much light comes through, but at night it's almost too dark. So I think we finally find a bit of a middle, but you might notice I'm decorating in evening time, and that's why, because that's the only time of day where we're not getting like excess light into the room, but it's not like so dark outside that the build looks dull. For Primrose, I do kind of go with a red and pink color scheme. That's something I've always kind of done with the Rose generation, is have like a bit of a red and pink mix, because I think Rose can be interpreted as both. Although I do try to lean a little bit more red because there is a pink gen later. But once again, the whole thing about me not loving the color red, so it's a little bit easier to mix in a lighter color like pink, and it still feels nice and rosy and romantic, but it's not overkill. And now I was like, we have way too much space, we need something else, and we add in the vanity. So I don't know if we'll actually really use the vanity too much. I feel like Primrose is kind of like a luxe girl, so maybe I should add her in the fridge with the face mask or something, and she can do those at her little vanity at nighttime. I actually think that's such a fun idea for her, but we're just adding in a few more clutter items, a few more art pieces, changing out some overhead lights. But overall, we've kind of got the vibe of this room, and I think it turned out so cute. It's still maybe a little big for my personal taste. Like, I don't know what to do with all that open space, but I also think it's okay to give builds a little bit of room to breathe. because your Sims actually need some space to walk around. Like functionally, it's better to have bigger rooms, but like aesthetic build wise, I think usually smaller rooms end up looking cuter. But we're in the bathroom now. Bathroom is very standard bathroom. I don't really know what to say when we're in the parts of the bathroom. This one is obviously very red because it's Primrose's, but other than that, it's very typical bathroom clutter. I'm curious to know, in speed builds, do you like to see all the parts, or do you prefer like things like bathrooms be cut out? Or like, does the bathroom need to like reach a certain level of interesting to deserve to go in this speed build? I'm very curious. I never know. I see most of the builds like include everything, just because when you speed it up, it makes it so much shorter. But I'd be curious to know your thoughts if you want to let me know those in the comments. I also wonder if I maybe speed mine up a little bit too much. Like, I think you can see for the most part what's going on, but I wonder if that's just because I know what's going on. So let me know if you think they're a little too speedy. I can't slow them down. I am not the best monologuer though. Like, I'm still kind of learning what to talk about during a speed build. I don't know how much of the build to talk about, how much of my personal life to talk about, like how much of just random things that semi-relate to the build to talk about. It's a learning process for sure. You'd think I'd know by now, but I don't do a ton of speed builds on the channel just because I feel like overall my channel prefers the live builds, like for me to build and just show you in the moment. And I kind of prefer to film that way too, but with all the content coming out, the speed builds are a little bit easier because I can build in the Sims at night when I'm not dressed and ready, and have them, and just on a day that I'm dressed and ready, film the voiceover. So they're nice for that reason. But I do know it's like a lot moving around, so I understand not everybody is obsessed with the speed builds. Something though in my personal life that I want to mention is we are very quickly approaching a year on the channel. Today that I'm filming this, it is the 14th. My first video that I ever posted was March 25th of 2024. So we will be at the anniversary in just 11 days. By the time you're seeing this, it'll be closer. I honestly can't believe it's been almost a year already. It somehow feels like it's been way longer than that and way shorter than that all at the same time. I have really, really loved this process, and you'll be proud to know this is the longest I've ever stuck with a hobby. I am treating this like a job. Obviously, it's not a job. I have a full-time job outside of this, but I figure if I treat it like a job, maybe one day it could be a job, and that's obviously kind of the goal. But it has been so much fun, and it's been so fun to get to know all of you. I didn't realize how many people I would get to meet through this, so it's been a lot of fun for that reason. I also obviously love The Sims, so being able to put out what I love into the world is also like just a nice feeling. But let me know what you think I should do for our first year anniversary on the channel. I'm thinking we're gonna revisit the first build that I ever posted, which was on the actual day of the anniversary, and that was a fully base game micro starter home. I think it's cute. It's actually, I think, my most downloaded build on my gallery, but maybe since we got so much new stuff in base game, it would be a fun one to revisit and rebuild. But if you have any ideas for me or anything that maybe you'd like to see for our first year of YouTube, let me know in the comments. In some less exciting news, I am doing speed builds because I'm actually pre-recording, and speed builds are just a little bit easier to pre-record because by the time you're seeing this, there's a really good chance I'm having a little procedure done. It is not a big deal and nothing to worry about, but I'm having an upper scope done because I had the flu a couple of weeks ago, and my body just decided to be really dramatic about it, and my intestines are a little inflamed, so they just want to do an upper scope to check that out. I think it's fine. It's just like kind of a safety precaution at this point, but I am sorry if my uploads have not been quite as consistent. I have been feeling pretty ill, and quite frankly still do. So I'm very hopeful that we will go on Tuesday and it will be all fixed. And this is being posted on Tuesday. So if you're watching it on the day of, I either am about to go, am in it, or have already had it. My check-in time is at noon, and my videos usually go live at 10. So I may, if you comment early, I'll probably see it. And if you comment later, it might take me a little while to respond. So I'm so sorry. But I'm gonna probably try to stay off my phone while I'm on pain medication. But back to the build. The inside is pretty much done. So we're moving to the outside, and we kind of run out of money very quickly because I don't use debug landscaping in my Let's Plays like this. The only debug thing I end up using is a little stone path, and that's because there's not a not debug equivalent. So if there is an in-game, you have to purchase it. equivalent. I cannot get debug. It just feels like a money cheat to me. And you can see where I have it mapped out where we're placing these bushes. And I quickly realized I can't even do that much. So I end up deleting the strip off to the left side. But we are kind of wrapping up the build. I don't really get to add in much more outside of the landscaping and some benches upstairs. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop into the game and give you a full tour of the build. So we are here in the world of San Myshuno, and I built our penthouse over here on this little penthouse lot. Also, Apollo's joining us for the tour. I didn't mention it, but I'm sure you noticed. But here we are on our penthouse lot. Outside, some things that changed was the landscaping a little bit. The only thing I have in the yard at the moment is this spaceship for my sim to play with. But as it turns out, we had more money than I realized in the Not So Berry challenge. So I imagine I'm gonna be changing this up and adding in a pool in this back corner back here. But other than that, on the outside, this top patio, all I could really afford was a little couch with a table and a couple of planter boxes. I aspire for this to turn into more as my sims have more money. And honestly, I probably can go ahead and update it. I don't know what I was thinking. I forgot about selling our furniture. So I just came in here with as much money as my sims had in their pockets, which was 130,000. But for the tour, on the bottom floor, right when you walk in, you're met with this little entryway, and your sims will actually spawn in the elevator. So they'll spawn in the entryway, but that's also where you access the outside from. But we've got our mailbox in here, as well as just like a nice little art piece and a little shoe and coat rack. Moving over to the living room space, I love the full set from the Refined Living Room kit. I think it looks so nice. I use the new bookshelves from the Businesses and Hobbies. And then on this back wall right here, we've got a little TV moment with some extra books and plants. Something that wasn't in the speed build is this teeny little half bathroom right here. I kind of just forgot about it in the actual build until the very end. So I think it was the last thing that was done. But the only thing that's in here is a sink and toilet. You could add a shower if you wanted. But once again, at this point, I was out of money. Moving forward, we've got the other side of the wall, which is this cute little light display and a bar. I also added in a little indoor trash can right here. But the trash chute is in the kitchen, so I'm hopeful that maybe they'll just gravitate towards that. But I thought that looked nice. And then here is our kitchen space. It's nicely cluttered. And then the back tile back here is what changed. So throughout most of the build, you saw this tile, but I decided the more muted charcoal color just looked better. I think something about it being like so much red with white grout was just a little too much for me. And I feel like we added in enough red accents with the floor and the clutter and some art and whatnot. And then moving on over this way, we've got our little dining room table with a nice wall art right behind it. And if you keep walking forward, you'll get into Primrose's office. She's a politician, so it just feels like a nice little politician office. She can host meetings if she needs to. She's got her little bookshelf from the Refined Living Room with clutter on it, and the plant. That's such a good plant, you guys. And then heading upstairs, when you first come up here, you're actually met with a tiny little gym space. The astronauts have to have some level of fitness skill. So this is actually for my yellow gen when she needs it, but it's just nice to have some skill building items around and about. And speaking of skill building items, on the other side of that, we have a little chess table. I do think I eventually want to get some telescopes outside because our yellow sim is going to be an astronaut, so it feels just right to have that. But moving into our Rose Jen's bedroom, she's got her bed, of course, some little decorations. We got a little couch area over here. We've got a big mirror with the vanity and the little costume trunk. And through here is her fully functional, very red bathroom. And then attached to that same wall, we've got Minty's bedroom right here, which is very mint. I still don't really know what color mint is, so I'm hopeful that you guys will think this is mint. I think mint can be debatably green or blue, but not everybody agrees with that, and that's okay. But I think it looks nice. I feel like it feels very minty. And instead of a bathroom, I decided to give her a little closet. You could obviously convert this into a bathroom if you decided you wanted another one, but they have a shared bathroom space right here. So the door for this bathroom is here. And this is just like a nice little yellow bathroom. And then attached to that is our yellow Jen Sims bedroom. We've got several science-y things. So using a lot from the Comfy Gamer kit, we got the rocket alarm and little UFO lamp. I got this because it looks like a rocket to me. Of course, we have the science table. I could not resist using the new Trashly plushie. I think it's so cute. And also a little rocket ship above that. I got her a little backpack, some books, some friendship bracelets, even though she's not gonna have any friends. And then over here, I gave her a computer, which I probably could have saved money by just selling that, but it's just nice, okay? And the kids can get a lot of skills from the computer. But I also left an extra seat for her to do her homework at. But that is pretty much the whole build. In the back, I just use a lot of these little bushes and stacked them on top of each other. And we do have some red flower touches in both the front and the back of the build. And I think the red looks lovely. It kind of gives it the Rose Gin-esque without feeling too over the top Rose Gin. So it's on the gallery already if you're interested. It uses an egregious amount of packs. I am so sorry. Like it's really, that's pathetic. That's bad on me. I'm not gonna lie, but it's just called Not So Berry Penthouse, and I use hashtag PlumeriaPlay to give you an easier time finding it. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you made it this far, comment a city emoji in the comments below, like the little high-rise picture. Also, let me know how you think I did in this build. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have the best rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!